Mark, yeah, a couple of big games, obviously, Durban, Kings Park. How excited are you?
Yeah, boys are really excited. I think naturally when you come away, once you get over the disappointment of obviously leaving your family and some of the boys leaving kids behind, etc., and once you get up past that, you just get excited then around what's in front of you. Obviously, South Africa is a great place to tour. The facilities and the hotel where we stay are great, and yeah, the facility of the gym and the training pitch have been really good. So like we're excited to be away, and obviously the most important thing, the weather's been awesome. So that's been nice as well.
Yeah, and fast tracks in South Africa at the end of the season like this. You've got 38 points. Have you targeted? Do you know how much you might need to get into the playoffs?
No, but we know we probably need two wins. So, like, I think that gives us the best chance. And obviously, y- when you play the best teams, you normally need to pick up four tries to beat the best teams, especially we're playing top four team first up, and then we've got the Lions who are in and around us in the league. So we know playing the Lions in the past, it's tough to keep them below four tries. We did it last time out, but other times we've had to go and score 4 or 5 tries to win the games. Same with the Sharks. We had to go there in the stoop. Earlier in 2023. So yeah, we know they'll probably look like 5 point games if you want to win. If I'm honest with you, that's the type of quality you're going to need to have to win because they're up against, like you say, particularly this week, world class side.
Yeah, full of World Cup winners. How do you approach taking them on?
Yeah, look, we definitely the first way we approach it is by recognizing what's in front of us. We know they're a high quality outfit. That's why they're sitting where they are on the table, and we know they've got the household names that they've got, but we also know under that they've got an incredible amount of depth as well. Young talent coming through, similar DNA, similar style, but they've obviously got those glue players around the front row and around the back row that really do mold the way they play the game. And we've prepared as well as we can for them, but we obviously put a lot of focus on ourselves for these last two games because we have to get our own house in order. When we've done that this year, we've been a tough side to play against. So that's the key for us. Be the best we can be on the night.
Absolutely. How many players have you taken out?
We've brought 37. 36 are selectable. We've brought one extra player from a long-term injury who we think would benefit from getting some of our rugby content into him before next season. So he's come along because he's at that stage of his rehab. But we got 36 that we're able to pick from, and other than sort of 35 with training today, one was just out with a bit of a tight back. So yeah, we've come with a fit and a healthy squad, and hopefully the boys will remain that way over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Adam Beard and Justin Tipuric.
Yeah, Beardy's here. He's just walked past actually as just before you got online. He's on good form. He's just doing his recovery and Tips and was unable to travel in the end. We were hoping that potentially he could, but he hasn't been able to. So fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll be coming back to a fixture that he'll be available for. So that's what we're trying to keep. We're trying to keep the fires burning in this end so that he hasn't played his last game of rugby.
Yeah, fingers crossed then that he if should you get into the playoffs that he'd be fit.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That the medics have certainly said that's not out of the question. So he's targeting that. He hasn't stepped over into the coaching world yet. He's still very much behaving like a player, and he's doing his best to make himself available. Should the Ospreys require him post this tour?
So he's at home rehabbing and doing his level best.
Well, that's what he should be doing. I don't know. He might be out farming and enjoying and down the park with the kids, which actually wouldn't be a bad thing either. But hopefully he's doing that around the rehab, and yeah, which I'm sure he is. So yeah, we're disappointed not to have him on the trip because he's a great character as well, and obviously the quality of the players evident. But he's also a good man to have on tour. So he's missed, but like all oak trees you cut down, it lets the grass grow underneath, doesn't it? So there's a few characters coming through here on the tour now already, and yeah, it's been good.
I guess that's probably extra motivation again then to go out and win these two games so that you can get a final send off for Justin.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that that'll be in the back of the players' minds, I'm sure, because obviously we love Tips. He's been an incredible part of the Ospreys for a long time. And whenever he's not in the team, that there's potentially a player there that makes us better. So, but I think what I've picked up from the players is that the motivation is to make sure that we carry on growing as a group. We make sure that the hard work we've put in to get ourselves in a position of qualifying, that we do our best to make sure we make it come alive, if that makes sense. We want to make sure that whatever the result on the weekend, we've actually put our best game on the pitch, and I think it's a lot easier to take when you've done that. I think you feel like you couldn't have done any more. Then I think it's a lot easier to live with poor results, and obviously if you do it, then we've got a good chance of getting a positive result as well.
Yeah. Tomorrow, the Lions announcement. Have you got any plans? Obviously, Jack and Dewi are probably the front runners from the Ospreys. Might be involved.
Yeah, I'm sure those boys will be definitely would have been in discussion with the Lions coaches. I'm sure of that through their international performances, but also their Osprey performances, not just this season but previous seasons. And hopefully there's one or two more there that might be getting considered as well. We'd love that. We'll actually be travelling, I think, with the timings of the announcement, which are live, aren't they? And our actual flight and bus times. I think we're going to be in transit somewhere. Whether that's on an aeroplane or on a bus, we don't know. But Harrison's he's got his dongle here. He's ready to go at any time with the internet connection, and I'm sure he'll be ready to stream it when we need it. And fingers crossed, we've got some exciting news that we can celebrate as well, which will hopefully give us a bit of a lift into the game as well.
I Mark. I'm sure as a player and a coach, you've experienced many of these Lions selections, and watching it around clubs. But I guess it's going to be a different experience, maybe on a bus, having to pull into a lay-by somewhere, I guess, in South Africa, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it will be. Look, it'll be a nerve-wracking time for those boys that who potentially think they're in the reckoning. No player ever thinks they're guaranteed to get on a Lions. So I can be, I've been around enough rugby to realise that, because there's such a high quality crop of players in the British Isles that are vying for those roles. But they're obviously players that have been spoken around in the media, and you mentioned two of them there from our environment. Those guys will be nervous. Of course they will. They'll want to go. So yeah, we've had a little discussion. I'm not going to lie about it. We've talked around how we handle that and how we best prepare them to be ready for whatever news either way, because obviously there could be disappointment if they don't make it, and obviously there'll be jubilation if they do. So we're ready for it, and hopefully we'll be somewhere where everybody can enjoy it together, and we can make it a moment that people will remember.
I guess it often feels a bit redundant, isn't it, saying, that certain players are deserving of a Lions call-up just because of the amount of competition. But in terms of Dewi and Jack, if they were selected, just how much could they thrive in that particular environment?
Oh, I think they could massively thrive. I think the age profile of them, in particular, that how thirsty they are to get better in the stage of their careers is evident, to us on a daily basis at the Ospreys. But I think going in and around more people of that level who think the same, but have maybe even been on tours before, or have played in international teams that are winning regular trophies, or domestically or internationally, been around those players for 6-8 weeks. That's an incredible amount of learning and habit building, and you'll pull lots of growth out of those conversations. Roommates, different coaching style, different challenge of touring. With like the British Lions touring schedule is packed, isn't it? And it's 2 games a week, and it can be a real challenge for a player. But I think they would thrive in that environment. They'd only become far better for being in it.
How difficult are these 2 games going to be for you, Mark?
I think it depends how well we play, Rob, if I'm honest with you. I think if we play well, I think the games they'll be difficult, but they'll be a lot more manageable than if we don't play to our level. I think we can be involved in games. We had one last year at the High Veld against the Bulls where we beat the Stormers one week, and then we went up to the Bulls the following week. And, we had a real tough day at the office because of some of our inaccuracy. And I think the game then became hugely difficult. It became about survival it became about surviving, not thriving. And I think that's what we need to make sure is we need to make sure we give ourselves a chance. If we give ourselves a chance, we'll get into it, and we'll get into our rhythm, and we'll be enjoying our rugby, and we'll be right in the competition. And I think you look at the Sharks results; they've had some narrow results. They've won 5 out of the last 6, I think, but low margins, 3 to 7 points. So 1-score games. So all we can ask for is going into those last plays of the game that we want to be in with a chance of winning, or we are winning at that point. I think if we can do that, I think then the difficulty is reduced massively.
Yeah, you couldn't have two tougher games, though, could you? You know, you're not only are you away in every sense of the word, but you've got one huge side on top of another.
Yeah, I think it's in isolation. You know, there's a lot of good sides in the URCs, but as you said, with them being back to back, that's a different challenge. It's like having the derbies back to back. You know, it becomes mentally and physically draining if you allow it to do that. But look, we've had lots of experiences this year where we've had to go deep back to back in derbies and in European competitions. So we're all good, mate. We're ready to go there if we need to. But for the second game to mean something, we've got to make sure we get a performance and a result out of the first game. So we'll worry about how much of a challenge the Lions is. You know, when the week of the Lions, what we've got to focus on now is making sure we got a shark that we need to get hold of. And it's a pretty nasty shark with sharp teeth. And we've got to get a pretty big hook on the end of the line to get hold of it. And we're excited about it, mate, because you want to test yourselves against the best players, and the coaches want to test themselves against the best coaches in the best stadiums, and all of that's coming to fruition this week.
Well, I guess when you start your job as head coach properly next season,
I hope I've been doing it properly this season, but
no. I meant the period.
I'll take the feedback. That's good feedback.
No, the periods you were going to have. But no, the point I was going to make is you're going to learn a little bit about your team at the end of this season from these 2 weeks, and maybe this is a great way to end the season. Hopefully, it doesn't end. I'm talking myself around about it, but you're going to learn a lot about your group here.
Yeah, you're the master. Fair play to you. Well done. No, I know what you meant, Rob. You're right. Actually, this, as much as it was disappointing, obviously, for Boothie to move on in the middle of the season, you know, nobody was pleased to see that happening at all. You know, it has given me an opportunity to get a little look at the players before next year and before pre-season, and to start building some different relationships with them, because you have a relationship as the defense coach and as an assistant coach. But obviously, as a head coach, the relationship changes a little bit. You're renegotiating that contract a little bit, aren't you, with them around certain things, and having that opportunity to tour with them, you know, play at home, go to Italy, all these types of things. It's definitely helpful going into next season for sure. And I've learned loads off the boys. Hopefully they've learned a fair bit about me as well, and how they get the best out of me as a coach as well, and how they can get more out of me to help them. So I think it's been good in that respect. You know, that's been a helpful part of the situation that happened at Christmas time, you know.
And how gutted are you to see Leon in that European final?
Oh, I'm pretty gutted. I won't lie to you. We were talking around it when the result came through, traveling, actually. Look, we're pretty gutted. We knew straight after the game that the opportunity that we had, I don't like to say let slip, because Leon are a good side and they played well. So I don't want to disrespect the quality that they played on the game. But we should have won that game. And if you'd seen the game statistically or on paper and looked at the stats, you'd have been going, oh, well, that team's won that game. But the game's not played on paper, and it's not played on stats. It's played on execution and conversion of your opportunities, and we didn't take them. And that's what you learn at the top end of the game. It's all about how ruthless you are. So well done to them. Outstanding. And yeah, it's a good lesson for us. Don't let one get through the net.
Yeah, but three playoff quarterfinals now in a row for your team. What history shows you is that you earn your spurs and you build that up, and you go to better places as a result of that.
Yeah, exactly. You get the rewards for your work, don't you? And that's, you know, we've talked a little bit about it over here about, look, we've given ourselves a chance, albeit a difficult task, to be in with a chance of qualification with 2 games to go. And I think that's the result of all the effort and hard work you've put in. So let's just make sure that we give it our best shot. We maximise as much as we can. Let's reward ourselves for all the effort that you've put in, all the players that are not here, the injured boys, your families that have to give up the time with you so you can be in this position. Let's just make sure we give it our best. That's all we've talked around. And obviously we've talked around the execution of a game, but emotionally, that's all we've talked around. Let's just try and reward ourselves for the work we've done.
Just to go back to Jack Morgan and Dowie, have you actually had any contact from the Lions, particularly around Dowie, checking on his fitness, his durability for for a long tour? Are those the kind of checks they would make or not?
No, I've not had any contact with any of their coaches. Simon Easterby said he wanted to have a catch up with me around a couple of players. We haven't had an opportunity to do that yet, so I know he's a busy man. So, they'll be looking at those two players that you mentioned. I've no doubt about that, and so they should be, and may well be looking at a couple of other players as well, which will be great. So, but no, I've had no contact around those individuals. But look, no news is good news. That's what they say, isn't it? So fingers crossed, they've already made their minds up, and they don't need me to add any weight to the debate.
With Jack, I mean, he's been captain of a national side that haven't won for almost a year. That would have ground down a lot of people. It doesn't seem to have ground him down. How has he managed to carry that and carry his own form?
Well, he's done it in his own way. He's a very authentic guy, Jack. He leads in his own way. His actions are very humble around success and failure. In, like you said, in those losses, he treats them all the same. And he's a very level guy. And if you're a player or a coach that works alongside him, he gives you a great platform to work off. Never gets too emotional. He's always very analytical, but he also understands that. There's only certain things you can control, and he's very, very good at that. That's his super strength around his leadership. And as a player, he leads by his actions. That's what it is. It's follow me mentality. He handles referees really well. Feedback from referees to me he's great to deal with. He challenges at the right times. He asks the right questions. He draws from his own leadership group well on the field and gets everybody's opinion. But then he's more than happy to make the decision. He's very decisive, and it would be a great honour, and Jack would learn a lot from being, as would Dewi, from being in a British Lions group. But I tell you what, they'd learn a fair bit from those guys as well, mind. They've got a lot to offer and add to. So I don't think it'd be a case of them going on a Lions tour and them receiving all of the information. I actually think there'd be people looking at them taking a fair bit out of those guys as well. So,
yeah,
we're fortunate at the Ospreys. We've had a fair few players like that over a number of years before I've been here, and like that says a lot about the Ospreys.
Yeah, and for Dewi, I mean, he's had a different type of year. He maybe deserves a bit of a break, a bit of good fortune, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely won't want to break from playing, that's for sure. But you're right, in terms of a break from some of the little niggles he's had, and he had a nasty bicep injury. But look, he was back early, wasn't he? We thought he might be. He's got an incredible mentality. He's as tough as old boots, but he's incredibly detailed. He's just come out of here now, actually, 10 minutes before I spoke to you guys, already picking up on some stuff from the session, giving me feedback around the schedule. Like, incredible professional, tough as old boots, and he's gonna, it's a pleasure to work with him. He's a top man.